For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is David Howes. I'm the interim executive and technical director for the CFF. So I've been in the job since about the second week of February. An interesting time to to start a position like this, but that's been challenging but interesting so far. I just want to let everyone know that I am recording the meeting today because there are a few people who wanted to attend but couldn't. So I said I'd record it and then share the meeting with them later on. If you have any questions throughout, I'm going to ask you to put them in the chat, just because if we do get up to 40 people, it may be kind of hard to manage. And if I ignore your question for a while, it may be because I'm going to deal with it later on in the presentation. Okay, but by all means, if you have any questions, please let me know. So let's just get started here. Okay. Can everybody see that thing that I'm sharing? Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to give you an overview of the coaching development system as it stands today. Talk about the different streams. And I know this information it's been around for a while, but unless you're actively going out looking for it, you may not really have seen the info. So there are a number of different streams we'll talk about the different workshops that we have available right now and what's in development. And while we're doing that, I want to kind of highlight for each stream and each workshop who the participant is that coach should be working with, and that will kind of help you figure out where you should be, like what kind of workshop you should be attending. We'll talk about the training requirements for each one, the evaluation requirements, and then maintenance of certification, which is something that we didn't have in the old system, but we have in this one. We'll talk about what the current status is of each workshop, because some of them are ready to go and some are still in development. A little bit about the challenges that we're facing with implementing the new system, and some future development ideas. As well, for anybody that's coached at a North American Cup last year, we're going to talk about some changes to the requirements for Canadian coaches to coach at a NAC, and also how we're using that within our own national level competitions. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the locker from Coaching Association of Canada, I'll just go over that very briefly, and then, like I said, give you a chance to ask some questions. If you do think of other questions later on, my email's right there, ed@fencing.ca. I usually try and answer, same day or next day. I may not have the answer for you right away, but I will respond right away, okay? So a rather busy page here. So this is the current coaching development model. You'll notice that there are different streams. So there's a community stream, an instructional stream, and a competitive stream. And within those streams, we have different coaching contexts or workshops for our sport. One thing to note at the top, I highlighted some things in yellow so that I wouldn't forget to mention them. You can attend a workshop as young as 16, but you can't be certified until you're 18. So for some clubs who may have some of their teenage fencers helping out, they can actually attend training when they're 16 years old. And once you've done the training, you can go and coach, but you can't technically be certified until you're 18. So the first one is the community stream. We have one context, one workshop in this stream. And I'll talk a bit about the LTAD stage. I don't really want to get into that too much because this isn't a presentation on LTAD, but it gives you an idea of kind of the target audience for the participants that you would be coaching if you were in the community coaching stream. So we're looking at the fundamentals stage. Typically it's like the 6 to 9 year old, but in our sport, we have people starting the sport at all ages. So this could be an adult as well. But the idea is that it's for basic fencing skills, fundamental movement skills, no focus on competition. It's purely introducing the sport and a skills-based program. If you're familiar with the armband program, this would be the yellow armband skills that we would be teaching in that program. Learning facilitators, those are the people who are delivering the coach workshops. So the idea is that a learning facilitator should have a higher level of skill and understanding of the skills than the coaches that are taking the training. Makes sense. Minimum age is 16. In order to receive trained status as a community coach, there are some multi-sport modules, and those modules you complete with your provincial coaching organization. Some of them are done online. A lot more are being done online right now because of COVID. But you can also attend other provinces' modules. So if there's something that's not offered in your province, look to the other provinces because you may find the one you're looking for there. Make ethical decisions. That is common throughout all the streams, okay? And you'll see later on, we're gonna make that a requirement to coach at Canadian competitions as well. It's a 3.5-hour workshop, can be done online, and there is an evaluation component to it as well. So there's an online evaluation. Technically, you don't even need to take the course to challenge the evaluation, but it's not recommended. Teaching and learning, planning and practice, again, those are multi-sport modules. The community coaching workshop is it's a 1 weekend, 3 days, 6 hours a day workshop. And that is delivered by your provincial fencing association. I've highlighted some other ones here. Currently, fundamental movement skills is another multi-sport module. It is listed as a requirement to be trained and in fact to be certified. I'm asking for that one to be removed, and the only reason I'm asking for it, it's not because it's not a good program. It can only be done in person right now, so I don't want that to be a barrier if provinces aren't able to do it because of COVID. I don't want that to be a barrier for someone to be trained and certified. So I'm asking for them to remove that for both community and instructor beginner. The other ones that are highlighted here are the CAC Safe Sport module. It's an 1.5 hours max long. It's a free module. It is one that will be mandatory for coaches to coach at national competitions. So that's one you can get out of the way right away. And then a background check and a first aid certification of some sort. As I said, it's a 3-day workshop, so 18 hours in total. For evaluation, some of this can actually be done in person or it can be done through the use of video. And we have done a few with video now. There are some challenges to that I can talk about later. But you are required to submit a practice plan, emergency action plan. You have to do that, make ethical decisions, online evaluation, and then submit a video or have an evaluator come to you to watch you run a practice, including a warm-up, footwork, and group lessons, okay? Maintenance and certification I'll talk about later on. Okay, so that's the community coach module. Instructor beginner. So we're talking about in LTAD terms, the 8 to 12-year-old range. But again, it could be adults, it could be teenagers, depending on your club and your situation. Again, the focus is more on development of skills. So kind of further consolidating the skills that someone would have learned in the yellow armband. You're consolidating those yellow armband skills and introducing orange armband skills. And there could possibly be, even though it's called instructional, there could be maybe local competition. But again, competition isn't the focus for this stream. Says here, coach participant minimum armband level. Now, I know most clubs aren't actually running the armband program and necessarily doing armband testing. So even though it says a coach has to have the orange armband to take this program, it's not required. But what is required is that the coach really understands those skills, okay? Because what we don't want to do is have a learning facilitator have to teach coaches what a skill is during the workshop. The whole point of the workshop is teaching coaches how to coach. So it's very important that if you or someone you know wants to attend one of the workshops, that they actually really understand the skills that are being covered. For train status, some of the same modules that we talked about for community. The workshop is longer, so it's over 2 weekends now, two 3-day weekends, and the same things that I highlighted previously. And Mark, I see your question. We'll get to that one later on when I talk about the requirements for coaching at nationals. For the evaluation, very similar as well. Okay, the only addition here, it says an individual lesson. It's not like a full-blown individual lesson like you may be accustomed to. Really, it's the coach demonstrating that they can teach a skill one-on-one to a participant, to a fencer. Okay, so we're not looking for, one skill in different tactical environments. We're not looking for you to develop a lesson. It's really teaching one basic skill and showing that you can do that one-on-one. One thing that I should mention here for evaluation as well, that is requested through your province. Okay, so you have to go to your provincial fencing organization to say, I want to be evaluated. You can challenge the evaluation. It's not recommended. Really, people should be attending the workshop to make sure they have all the information they need. But it can be challenged as well. The idea with this, call it a new coaching development system, it's been around for more than 10 years. But the idea is that it's competency based. So if you can come in and prove that you have all the skills that are required for this coaching level, I'll call it a level, then you can challenge it. But really, it's designed more for very experienced coaches who maybe don't have certification, so that they can don't have to take the workshop if they already really know all the skills that are required. Yeah, Jim, I see your question there about the practice and group lesson video for community. I'll have to look into that because I know when we talked about it and we did the workshop in New Brunswick, it wasn't a requirement. I'll have to double check to make sure that that is actually the case. I took this from a coaching model that Ildemaro had published a year ago. So I will double check and make sure that that the community coach is required to submit a video. And I can send this information out to everybody afterwards. Okay, getting into the competition stream. So the first context here is competition introduction. So we're looking at the train to train in LTAD, slightly older athletes as well, 11 roughly to 16 years old. Again, we're still looking at skills. We're consolidating the skills in yellow and orange, introducing green and blue. We're getting more, obviously, because of the name of it, into competition. So besides just the technical and tactical skills, we're looking at things like nutrition, pre-competition routines, starting to introduce traveling, recovery, physical conditioning, those kind of things. And here we're looking more at provincial and national level competitions. For train status, some of the same multi-sport modules, but there are additional ones now, okay? So we're talking about basic mental skills, designing a program, nutrition, making headway in sport. Right now, it's only in the competition stream. It may be something we introduce into the other ones as well. So this is dealing with concussions. Again, this is I think it's a free module that you can take online. Workshop, again, a 2-weekend workshop, similar to instructor beginner. And the same things I highlighted earlier. For the evaluation, again, there's a portfolio that you would submit, including the practice plan, emergency action plan. In this case, we're looking for a plan for an entire season for one athlete. And the same practice and group lesson. an individual lesson. This time, the individual lesson is a little bit more involved than just demonstrating one simple skill. And yeah, so Mark, you asked if the community level is a prerequisite for the next level. It's not. Okay, you don't have to start at community and work your way from left to right. If you want to be a competitive coach, and you can leap right into comp in. I wouldn't say that anyone should ever jump into like competition development first, but competition introduction, certainly you could start there. Okay, so it isn't that one leads into the other. Like the old system was level 1, 2, 3, 4, and you had to do level 1 before 2. It's not the same now. Competition development. So this one now, again, much more into the competitive side. We're looking again at older athletes, 15 to 23 years old, and this is a train to compete stage of LTAD. This is really the introduction to high performance for the athletes. We're talking about practicing, like 5 times a week, strength and conditioning 2 to 3 times a week. So it's much more serious program from the athlete side. So the requirements for the coach is definitely more in depth. For the competitions, we're looking now at starting to do international competitions. So things like NACs, Junior World Cups, Junior Pan Ams, into Senior World Cups. For the train status, again, much more in depth in terms of the multi-sport modules. I won't read them all, but there are a lot here. Okay. The workshop right now is still listed. It was originally designed by someone else as being a 2-weekend workshop. I'm not convinced that's enough. I think there probably should be a mentorship model included in this, because I don't think in 2 weekends we can cover everything we need to do. Plus, the individual lesson component is much more involved here. And Jim, you asked about the minimum age. This is not cast in stone yet. This was here from the previous model. I have a meeting with our Coaching Association of Canada consultant next week, and I have a bunch of questions for her. One of them is the minimum age. I don't know if this was set by the sport or if this is mandated by CAC, but I will find out. For the evaluation, again, very similar to the other ones. The annual plan here is very important. There are some other evaluations that are related to the multi-sport modules. So they're not necessarily part of the fencing specific evaluation. These are done through the multi-sport. But one of the things that we'll be looking for in the portfolio is how the coach is integrating what they learned in the multi-sport modules into the fencing. There's also a component here of observing the coach coaching during competition. And this is one of the workshops that's still in development. So if you have a lot of questions about this one, I may not have very many answers right now because we're still kind of in the early stages of figuring out what we actually want to cover here. The high performance one, we haven't even looked at yet. We basically, with the person that started before me, and it made very much sense to look at the kind of the coaches, the coaching levels that we felt would hit the largest population. So there's not a lot of coaches that are going to be coaching in the high performance area. So we've left that one to last. The other thing I want to talk about before we leave this page is maintenance of certification. So this is something that you need to pay attention to, because unlike the old NCCP, certifications can expire. So in order to maintain your certification, you have to acquire points over a 5-year period. They can be by taking another NCCP course. I think that's worth 5 points. You get 1 point for every year of active coaching. You can do certain things that are like self-reporting. So first aid gets you points. So there are lots of ways to get points to maintain your certification. You'll notice that it goes from like 10 points to 20 to 30. So kind of the comp dev coach has to do a lot more to maintain their certification than community or instructor beginner. Okay. Mark, I'm not sure I understand your question there. Mark, if you want to unmute yourself and ask that question, maybe I'll understand it better.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
So my question is, if a new coach is setting up a new program, let's say in a community center, to get the community center level, they would need to take like a video and submit it to get certified. But if they're setting up a new program, they don't have a class to take a video with, so they can't get certified until they have the class, and they can't have the class until they're certified, right? Or they can't set up a new program.
You can coach with the trained status. So they can take say the community coach workshop, and after that they can coach. Ideally, they should be working with a more experienced coach and not coaching on their own. But there's nothing to say that that person can't go now and run a community program, get some experience, and then put their portfolio together for certification later. And Jim, you asked about the points. Yeah, I don't think the points are rolling. You have to do your 10 points every 5 years. But it's really not that easy or not that hard to get them, like I said.
Yeah, I know it's not that hard to get them, but if you're supposed to do 30 points and you did like 25 of them in the first year, and then those are going to be 5 years old now, you haven't done anything else because you're a lazy coach, then you got to make those up, right?
I believe so, yes.
Right. Like year 1, 2, 3, 4, you're fine. And then on the 5th year, all of a sudden you got to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to scroll back here and see if I miss anything. So Richard, you asked about challenging and evaluations. Is that done through the province or the CFF? For any evaluation, go to your province first, okay? I'll talk about one of the challenges we have is the number of evaluators we have, which is very, very small. So even though I say go to your province, it may end up coming to me anyway. But I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to move down to the next page here. So current status, community instructor beginner, those can be delivered now. Again, well, this will come into play when I talk about the challenges, but it really is going to depend on whether you have learning facilitators in your province or whether you need to bring someone in. But those programs are ready to go. Competition introduction, it is an approved course by CAC, but from talking to a couple of learning facilitators who were involved in the pilots of these, they feel there needs to be more information for the learning facilitator. Right now, there's too much left to the discretion of the learning facilitator as to how and exactly what they're going to cover. And so we feel there needs to be more details. So I do have somebody looking at that right now that participated in a pilot. So I'm hoping that in the next couple of months we'll have that ready to go. So Ontario was supposed to be doing a pilot in May and June of CompInts. That obviously didn't happen. So we're hopeful that we'll do it sometime in the next season. Competition development. Right now, after having looked at it, there needs to be more content. So I have a few learning facilitators who are working with me to look at what we need to cover in CompDev. and to kind of beef up the program a little bit. So that one is not going to be ready for a little while. It will be important though, because for Canada Games, that is a requirement to coach at Canada Games is Comp Dev. So we need to have that done before the next Canada Games, which is in 3 years. And as I said before, high performance, we're not there yet. So, see your question there about having lots of experience and worried about losing coaching status if the courses are not followed. It's like I said, it's not hard to get those points to maintain your status, and depending on which stream you're in, you may require more or less. But like I said, you just take an NCCP course and they're always adding new ones. Some of them are free, some of them, they don't cost very much. You take a course or two, you've got like your points right there. So it's not that hard to do. The idea is that CAC is trying to encourage coaches to embrace lifelong learning. Okay, we expect that of our athletes to continue to learn and improve. So we're expecting that of our coaches as well. So even though, for myself, I've been coaching for a long time, there's always things to learn. So the idea is like, hey, you know what? Even though you've been coaching a long time, keep working on your professional development, keep improving, and it's not hard to get those professional development points. Yeah, and one other thing to mention, if you did have old NCCP levels, like level 1, 2, 3, 4, those didn't disappear. And I think in most cases, people that had old NCCP were given an equivalent in the new system. So if you were a level 1 coach, for instance, in the old system, you received credit for a community coach. If you were a level 2, you'd be instructor beginner. So everyone that had an old level would have received something in the new system. So you wouldn't lose those old levels. You just need to do some professional development to maintain the new certification. And Dale, you asked if these are specific to fencing. No, these are general through CAC. So the streams, the community instruction and competition streams, those are consistent throughout all sports. Some of the names may be a little bit different, but every sport is doing the same thing. And okay, you asked about if you can't get workshops in your own province. Yeah, by all means, contact me. What I will intend to do once provinces start offering workshops is to share that with everyone. So we'll post it on the website. We'll share it with the other provinces to make sure that if you don't have an opportunity where you are, that maybe you can go somewhere else and get the training. Okay, future development. So one of the things we're looking at, we had 4 learning facilitators, including myself, complete the CAC's online training for learning facilitators. And what a lot of sports have done because of COVID, some made the switch really early. We didn't, mostly because I didn't have time. But a lot of sports have started delivering some of their training online. So we've looked at that. And like I said, 4 of us did the training. And so what we plan to do is offer a blended learning approach. So by doing this, we can cover some of the fencing specific theoretical portions of a workshop and do them online so that it will cut down the amount of time that people have to spend in person at a workshop, and it will cut down some of the travel costs as well. So we'll most likely look at community and instructor beginner first, because the theory portion of those are very similar, and hopefully sometime in September we'll be able to start offering those. And yeah, Mark, that's a good point. Offering regional workshops if we don't have enough people in the province, that's a great idea. What I would encourage you to do is to contact your provincial association and see if they can work together with neighboring provinces. Have a prairie compient workshop and have a bunch of provinces attending. So I think that's a great idea. Another possibility for future development is developing some professional development modules. So if there's a specific topic maybe that doesn't really fit with any one of the workshops, we can create a professional development module and do it online, and people can attend that. Okay, but that's a little bit down the road. We've got to get our own coaching development workshops in place before we start looking at that. But if you have some suggestions for things that you think, hey, I've been coaching for a while, no one ever taught me this, I think it would be great for other coaches to learn, please send me an email, let me know, and we can look at doing that. So, requirements to coach at national competitions and NACs. So the reason this has come about is for anyone that coached at a NAC last year, you will remember that you had to purchase a membership with USFA, you had to complete their Safe Sport course, and you had to pay for a background check through them. So I think it cost me about $200 to coach at a NAC last year. So I talked to the USFA and said, is there any way that our coaches, if they do our own program, can be exempt from your requirements? So they have agreed to that. So what they've said is that if a Canadian coach is considered to be in good standing, and when they say that, they mean that our coaches have done a Safe Sport course, they have a background check here, that they will be allowed to coach in the US as long as they're there for less than 14 days. So for us, we've decided that means take the CAC Safe Sport module. It's free. It's an hour and a half long. Do the Make Ethical Decisions, and I said the online evaluation, but really do the module and the online evaluation. Have a valid background check. If you do those things, we'll be able to report to USFA that you are a coach in good standing. We're also going to implement this at our own national competitions. So Mark, you asked, whose responsibility will it be to review and enforce this at tournaments? We're actually looking at going through our membership system. They have the ability to link a membership with the locker from CAC, with Sterling Backcheck, with other organizations like that. So we can actually, if a coach registers with their province as a coach, then we can get all that information and have it in one place, so that, for instance, me or whoever is at the competition can quickly verify who is in good standing. And maybe we'll look at something like having a membership card that a coach could bring to a competition. But we're trying to make sure that, this is about making our coaches more professional and protecting our members. Okay, so by asking coaches to have completed the Safe Sport, Make Ethical Decisions, have the background check, we're protecting everyone, protecting you as a coach, because you can say, okay, I've done all the things that are required for me to be a coach, and to protect our members so that they know that the coaches have done everything they need to do to be a safe and ethical coach. Okay, so be prepared for this at a Canada Cup in the future. Yeah, we haven't worked out the details of how we're enforcing this yet. Obviously, I know the question came up earlier, well, what if you're coaching one of your teammates? I don't think anyone's going to stop you from doing that. But what we want to make sure is that people who are actually calling themselves coaches have done the minimum we're asking. It's not a lot, it's a very minimum in order to be recognized as a coach. So my advice for you then is to, if you're interested in coaching training, start with the multi-sport modules. There are a ton of them out there. Go to coach.ca. You'll see what's available. Start with Make Ethical Decisions and Safe Sport, because that will be required if you want to coach at a NAC or Canada Cup. I don't know if the provinces will enforce this at their own competitions as well. For now, I'm just concerned about the events that the CFF is running. And talk to your provincial association about fencing workshops and see what they have to offer, see what they're prepared to run. And like I said, we can coordinate with between provinces as well. Lisa, you asked about respect in sport, if it's the same as CAC. No, they're different. They're different courses. I know that the CFF promoted the respect in sport before, and a lot of people have done it. We decided to go with CAC Safe Sport module because it is free and it's easy to track for us at the CFF. And it's very short. There are some similarities or some differences as well. So I've done both, but yeah, it's a short course. Okay. I think that is all I wanted to talk about. So what I wanted to show you just briefly is the locker. So if you haven't done any coaching training at all, you won't have what's called an NCCP number. Okay, to get an NCCP number, you have to go to coach.ca. If you look up at the top right in red, there's something called the locker. Okay, so locker is where all your certifications, all the records of everything you've done is kept. Okay, and if you don't have an NCCP number, this is where you get it. This is where you check on your own certifications. So there's a question, does it cost you for the workshops? Some of them are free, some of them cost money. It depends on the province as well. Some are done directly by CAC. A lot of them are run by your own provincial coaching organizations, and the cost can vary from province to province. Okay, so I've just brought up my own here just to show you what it looks like. So if you look at the top here, you can find your own personal details, your name, your phone number, you can change your email, that kind of thing. You can check out your own certification. So bear with me, my internet is seriously slow here because I'm in the middle of nowhere. Oh, thanks, Jim. I'm sharing the wrong thing. All right. Thanks for that, Jim. New to sharing on Zoom. I've participated in a lot of Zoom meetings, but I haven't run a lot myself. So what I was saying before on the details page, it's just where you can change your email, your phone number, contact information. There's a certification screen. So that shows all the certifications that you would have as a coach. So you notice here for me, this is my own. You'll see that in community, these were transferred. So that was because I had old NCCP qualifications that were transferred into the new system. Okay, so there's a whole bunch like that. Maintenance, we talked about that earlier. So here you'll see for community, you only need 10 points to maintain your certification. So by taking, I did making headway in sport, that was 5 points. Safe sport, 2 points. There's other ones that are free that you can do as well. It's, like I said, it's really not that onerous to get these points. Doing a first aid course got me 3 points. I said you get a point for every year of active coaching. That's something you input yourself. You get 1 year for, so over 5 years, there's 5 points right there just for being an active coach. So that's under self-report. Okay, so you see here for every year, I added that I was actively coaching, got a point for each one. First aid, there could be other things. If you did a training camp somewhere with an international coach, you could put that in as well. Yeah, so Matt commented here that he's done some coaching for the city of Kelowna, and they've paid for some of the programs as well. So yeah, depending on where you're coaching, you may be able to get some of these things covered. So that's the locker. You can get more detail on the history of every training event you attended here. So I encourage you, if you have an NCCP number, go and have a look. See if what the locker says you have equates to what you think you have. If you think there was a mistake, then send me an email. It's not perfect. I've spent some time sorting out my own certifications as well. So yeah, if you think something's not correct, let me know and I'll see what I can do to fix it for you. Anybody have any other questions? I have to say I'm quite pleased to see how many people are interested. I know we've had some of these programs, ready for a number of years now. One thing I didn't talk about actually, or did I, was the implementation challenges. I think I might have skipped past that. So John, you're leading me right into that question. One of our challenges is a shortage of learning facilitators. I think when I had a look yesterday, I'd say we have maybe about a dozen for the new system. And among those dozen, there are various levels of certification. So some people have attended some training, some haven't done a co-delivery. There's a lot of hoops to jump through for facilitators. So you have to do what's considered core training, which is generic for all learning facilitators. You have to do the sport-specific, content-specific training for whatever, if you're going to be, say, a learning facilitator in community. And you have to co-deliver with an experienced learning facilitator. Once you've done that, you can facilitate your own, and then eventually you want to get evaluated as well. So there's a challenge in the number of facilitators we have, and they're not well distributed across the country. So I don't have a master list right now. I'm sure I can pull that off of a report from CAC. But like I said, I looked at a few that I knew were in existence, and some people are missing certain things. So if you think you're a learning facilitator, again, have a look in the locker and see if you're missing something. On the evaluation side, it's probably a little bit worse. So the same kind of training is required to be an evaluator. I think we can probably tackle that one a little bit easier if we're doing evaluations of videos, because you don't have to be on site to do that. So we can get more evaluators trained by having people do co-evaluations by evaluating a coach's videos that they're submitting. But those are a couple of the challenges we have. Aid monitor certification. Tim, I know you're on there. Trying to remember, does that equate to instructor beginner? I think that's instructor beginner, yes. Okay. So if you did the old aid monitor, you should have instructor beginner in the locker. Mark, you asked a question about larger clubs being represented. I sent the information out to all the provinces and asked them to distribute it to the clubs. So if they chose not to participate, there's not really much I can do about it. Everyone would have received the same information. NCCP, no, that's a different. So the NCCP number is very specific to the Coaching Association of Canada. So that's a unique number that you would have as a coach. Evaluation program for foreign trained coaches. So this is where challenging an evaluation is most applicable. So if a coach is trained in another country, we don't necessarily expect them to do all the training that someone who's just starting out would do. There are some things that they probably will have to do on the multi-sport side, but if a foreign trained coach feels that they meet the requirements, then they can ask to be evaluated, and that would come to me. So if you're in that situation, contact me, and then we'll discuss the process. But like I said, it's not the recommended method, but for foreign trained coaches, this is where it's most applicable. Okay, people that have already done all the training, they don't need to go through and do all the training again. They may need to do some, and they just have to prove that they have the competency. If they do that, then they'll be certified. When will enforcement begin? So are you talking about enforcing those requirements at Canada Cups? Whenever the first Canada Cup is. So supposed to be one at the end of September. I strongly suspect that at the CFF board meeting tomorrow, that will be postponed, most likely to sometime in the new year. The feeling is that we're not going to have any major national events until at least 2021. So you have time to get these things done. Yeah, I agree. I think this, I mean, I'm starting this at the national level. I think this should be carried down to the provincial level as well. But that will be up to the provinces for now, unless the CFF decides to dictate it. But I just thought of one of the other challenges. Okay, sorry. So large number of uncertified coaches. Yeah, that's possible. But what we're trying to do is set a very basic minimal standard right now of having safe sport, make ethical decisions, and background check. Obviously, maybe in the future, we'll look at requiring coaches to be certified to coach at national events. We're not there yet. We're not close to being there. But at the very least, we want to make sure that coaches that are coaching at competitions have the very basic minimal qualifications in order to be safe coaches and ethical coaches. We've all seen examples of the opposite. So we're trying to make sure that that's, yeah. And in good standing does not mean certified. Okay. That definition may change over the years, but for now it's going to be what I said it was earlier. One of the other things I forgot to mention when we were talking about challenges, besides the lack of learning facilitators and evaluators, the CFF has a lot fewer staff than they did, 2 years ago. So we're down to myself and the high performance director and a contractor who's doing financial management. So we don't have anyone dedicated to coaching development anymore or membership. So we're very scaled back because of financial challenges. So that is one of the challenges for me, is that this is just one of the tasks I have. But I am very motivated to do this, and I'm confident that we can add on to the good work that's been done in the past to get these things going. I did do a coaching development job for another sport a number of years ago, so I am familiar with the process. It's just a matter of time, but I'm determined to see us keep making progress like we have. Kirk, CFF's plan requirements for coaching at World Cups and other FIE events. I don't have an answer for that. I would have to talk to Benjamin to see if there's going to be any requirements to coach at international events. I would suggest, as a minimum, it would be what we're asking for at national events. But I'd have to ask him about that. Any other questions? Yeah, you asked about platforms for the online component. CAC uses Adobe Connect. I wasn't really familiar with that until we did the training. So I think we're probably going to go with that in the beginning, because that's what they're using, and they can provide some guidance to us and help us with that, help us with the implementation. So we're probably going to use Adobe Connect, and we can purchase a license through them for a small sum, so it won't cost us very much. So that's most likely what we're doing. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we'll end the meeting. Again, thank you for attending today. I'm really excited to see there's so much interest in coaching training. Like I said, I really want to continue the momentum that we've had over the past, and continue with the good work that's been done. And and get things moving. So again, you know, if you need training, prod your province and they'll talk to me. Okay, but let's keep this moving. Jacques, what about recognition of Canadian coaches? Like I said, any coach can challenge an evaluation. So if you feel that you meet the requirements for a certain coaching context, you can challenge it. So even though I said the challenging the evaluation is most applicable for foreign coaches, if someone has been coaching in our system for many years, by all means, do it. All right, thanks everyone. If you have any other questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, feel free to email me. I'll email you what I presented today as well, so you have that for your own information, and maybe it'll spur some more questions. I know there's some questions that came up that I can't answer, so I'll find the answers to those and make sure everybody has them. All right, thank you everybody. Have a good day.